Yo, this is Invest and Prosper. I'm your host Marcus, and today, what we've got here, we've got a little investment that I made in fact, I think it was about last month, or it might have been a month before. And this is what it is: the Sellfish Gene by Richard Dawkins. Let me tell you a little bit about Richard Dawkins. You know what I mean? And it's here. It says Richard Dawkins was Charles Simonyi's professor for the public understanding of science at Oxford University from 1995 to 2008. Born in Nairobi to British parents, he was educated at Oxford and did his doctorate under the Nobel Prize-winning ethologist Nicole Timbergen. From 1967 to 1969, he was an assistant professor at the University of California at Berkeley, returning as university lecturer and later reader in zoology at New College, Oxford. Before becoming the first holder of the Simonyi Chair, he is an emeritus fellow of New College. But basically, Richard Dawkins, some big science professor guy, but them on here that you know what I mean, that are kind of like me. That's all good and all that lot, but we just want to know basically you're a big science dude. You know what I mean? Man's not trying to discredit or anything like that, but to break it down, you know what I mean? I'm quite a simple-minded person. You know what I mean? I like things, keep it simple, stupid. That principle. I like things simple, so it's one of them ones. But yeah, man, this book definitely worth reading. So after I keep my notes down here, you know what I mean? So that was a little bit about the author. He's definitely somebody you should read about, you know what I mean? Because he's got a big, this is a multi-million copy bestseller, and he's got a few other books out there as well where he details so many other things. I haven't read any of the other books, but it goes into one of the other books. I think it's something to do with something phenotype. It goes into that, and he talks about some of the things he discussed in this in further detail. So but I'll put a link in the description for that one, so if you want to read it, you can go there, and I'll definitely put a link in the description for this as well. So my overview of the book, right, so let me talk to you about the book now. So boom, the book is about genes. That's why it's called the Selfish Gene, and it talks about how the genes inside of us, what we get from our parents, 50% from the mother. I just said past the blood, the past is just making my bit. 50% from the mother, 50% from the father. It talks about how these genes will work and use selfish behaviour. Some of them will behave altruistically. Altruistically is basically where you look out for other people, you do things for other people, you know what I mean? Just being completely unselfish. Some of them will behave altruistically in order to gain things selfishly, you know what I mean? So it's one of them ones. And it talks about how our genes, like us as people, are just a vehicle, whereas the genes are the actual thing that's trying to live on, you know what I mean? Where, in a sense, it's kind of saying we're not as important as the genes, you know what I mean? And to be honest, there's a fair point there. When I'm looking at it, he's got a fair point. And he's saying how the genes, there's one thing he talks about which is, in fact I'll discuss that later, but the prisoner's dilemma. I'll talk about that in a bit. So who this book is for, let me talk about who the book is for. The book's for individuals who want to gain a sense of, it doesn't go necessarily talk about humans, it talks more about animals, but some of the concepts are what humans do as well. And so a lot of the it talks a lot about, you can basically, yeah, you couldn't say human psychology. It talks about what we do and the mechanics of what we do, and saying how it's not really changed, it just stays the same, and we just continue to do what we're doing, you know what I mean? And a lot of the principles in there, what the animals are doing, is about the same thing that we're doing, and you can't really change that, you get me? It's just how it is. But the book, I'm not even talking about that, fam. Let me retract that. Who the book is for, right? The book is for people who want an understanding of human psychology. Even though the book talks about animals, much of the things that we do is the same. The book is also for people who are interested in science. If you're interested in science, I definitely recommend that and getting his other books as well. But the book is definitely for people who want to study evolution as well and know about genes and chromosomes and DNA. You can learn a lot from this book if you want to learn them kind of things, but if you're in business, I'd take it for the human nature part. If you're in business, if you do business, that's something that's fundamental that you 100% want to know, because if you do know it, it can definitely boost your business's success. So boom, when we talk about the benefits, right, so the benefit that I got out of reading this book was the book kind of taught me that man them are here, like man and women on this planet are here to serve, you know what I mean. I said man them, then if you don't get that, that means man, but it's kind of telling us that man them are here on this earth to serve, you know what I mean. I should be helping him, he should be helping me, and then we can both thingy. And if you look at businesses, that's how businesses are run. You have departments that serve each other, which work together. You have people that work together. You have successful people who work with other successful people, you know what I mean. And that there further gave me the inclination that I should serve, I should look to be a man of value, so that I can bring value to other people. And that's how you make money. If you're looking to make money, that's how you're going to make it, you know what I mean. And you should strive to look for mentors who are 20 to 30 years ahead of you and partner up with them, so they can bring you up to speed and better you, you know what I mean. Because networking is essential. Even in there, you see that networking, animals network with each other all the time. Wolves work in packs so that they can attack a certain other species and get their food, you know what I mean. So man should look to do that kind of thing. Another benefit that I got was animal knowledge. I didn't know that animals did like much the same thing that we do, like lions and that. They're saying that lions, the female lions, will act shy, you get me? Well, not shy, but they'll contain themselves, you know. Like we got girls on here who not necessarily play games, but they'll test a man to see if he's what they want, you know what I mean. They'll test. Whereas other people, they don't test, you know what I mean. Some other girls will just go in and head on, do what they're doing. Some man will go and head on and do what they're doing. And it talks about, here I'll come back to the prisoner's dilemma. It's got there's like a box, and the box was like this, you know what I mean. So you've got here, you got cooperate, here you got, and that's where it said there's two men in a jail cell, and one can get out free. If he could, so you got two men in the jail cell and one can get out free, but both of them don't want to tell the police what's happening. Then them two are cooperating, nobody's getting nothing, so they served the full 15 years or whatever, 25 years. Then you got here, defect and cooperate. One tells, but the other one doesn't, keeps his mouth shut. This one ends up 25, but this one ends up doing less and he gets a 5 year, you know what I mean. But he's made the biggest benefit for himself. Then you got the opposite side where the other person's told, the other person stayed loyal. Then you got here, defect, and they've worked both against each other and they've ultimately caused themselves both to get 25, you know what I mean. So it's something worth to think about, you know what I mean. When you put it in that context there, it makes a lot of sense, you know what I mean. But at the same time, that's just one thing. But they were saying how female lions, some will send the male lion out to do a certain task, or build like somewhere where they can stay or something like that. That makes him, before she even puts out sex, you know what I mean. So that makes him more likely to stay for the child now, because he's done some work, you know what I mean. And that's what the book talks about. It talks about things like that. I never even knew that, you know what I mean. I found that really interesting. And then another benefit talks about altruism and selfishness, which I already covered earlier, but I'm going to go into a bit more detail on that. So, like, in business, some people do altruistic things, like they'll give you this and they'll give you that, but they're expecting something in return, you know what I mean. You should give for the sake of giving, to be honest, but if you get something, better be to you. But you know what I mean, that's what people do, man. And it talks about, that's what the genes are here to do, because the genes get carried on and they need to last, they need to survive, you know what I'm saying. The past is making man bust up blood, but they need to survive, you know what I mean. And that's just how it is. But I can't even detail this book, man. But yeah, overall, man, I think the book's good, man. It's definitely a handy book. Sorry about that fly in my face. It's definitely a handy book if you want to get into it, man, for human psychology purposes. And just understanding what people do and what animals do and them things there. I say it's for everybody, but not everybody has to buy it, you know what I mean? I'll definitely put a link in the description if you want to go see it and judge it for yourself. What else did I want to say now? Yeah, I'm done. Time to wrap it up, blood. So yeah, this is Invest and Prosper. If you want to get the book, I'll put the link down in the description. I'll put his other books down in the description as well if you want to check them out. This is me, you know, it's Marcus. This is Invest and Prosper. Yo, I'm out.